brushes the hair from his eyes.
I miss that, Tilly.
Guarantees another magazine cover.
Now the pass to Talakai. Goodbye! Sniffer Talakai thunders his way to the line. And the Sharks are surely going to claim a massive scalp and take the Melbourne Storm out.
Take the Sharks to Golden Point. He moves in. He's missed it. Nico Hines has missed the kick.
Nico goes out the back. Braden Trindle had the extra number. Floats it over. Atkinson will get the try. Maybe there's life in the Sharkies yet. Oh, it's been a carnival at Shark Park tonight. And the Sharks are leading 56-6.
They are a bona fide top four side, the Cronulla Sharks.
And that is exactly where they finished in season 2024. Fourth on the ladder with a 16-8 season. And as we mentioned, they had a semi-final win as well. How did you rate or grade the Cronulla Sharks this year, Michael?
Yeah, decent year. Obviously, considering the fact you got to, round 15, they're coming in first spot on the competition ladder. They won, they just lost 2 games in the opening 11 rounds. So,
yeah,
they started the year well, had a bit of a rough patch in the middle of the season, but then rebounded to win 4 in a row and win that elusive finals game, right? Which was huge for them. But then in that prelim final, they were never in it. They never threatened Penrith side, who you mentioned earlier, were well down on their best, and that's a concern for the Sharks. They finished where they are at the moment in terms of the season. They're better than the bottom 8. Clearly. They're clearly better than the bottom 8 and get the job done, but they weren't at the Penrith and Melbourne level this year. I know they beat Melbourne, but they weren't at their level consistently to go, okay, these guys are a genuine premiership threat. Yeah,
I'd go further. I think they're better than the bottom the 5 to 8 teams too.
Oh,
right?
for sure. I'm agreeing with that. Yeah.
There was a clear separation in the top 4 sides, but there was a clear separation between the top 2 sides.
Yeah, there was a separation between the top 2, the next 2, and then the rest of the top 8, clearly. And they sit in that realm at the moment. And, you finish the year with more question marks, I guess, around the Sharks than answers, because the question marks are around their key positions. Has Will Kennedy's game advanced enough that he's the fullback that can lead them, right? We saw that performance from Braden Trindle in the finals where, he played, a 9.5 out of 10 game?
Well, I think this is where all the interest lies for 2025 for the Cronulla Sharks. I mentioned the 16-8 season. You mentioned they won 9 of their first 10. The first game that they lost after that was round 12 when it was clear. Penrith beat them 42-0 at home.
Yeah.
It was an under-strength Penrith side as well. So that was a reality check, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we're a good side, but we're a mile off.
And that's the best way to describe them.
Yeah.
They're a good side, but...
So we mentioned they won that semi-final. And Braden Trindle was the absolute star. 18 try assists across 20 games and 16 line break assists as well. So he is the creative engine in many ways, more than Nico is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I know Nico had those injury concerns, but he also had confidence concerns. And he played that Origin game, and then and his goal kicking was such a barometer about how that side, if he was kicking goals, they were winning games.
Yeah.
And not just because of the 2 points. I think what Craig Fitzgibbon does, notwithstanding that Adam Fanua-Blake is arguably the best front rower in the league and he's coming to the club, right? So that's such a big part of what they're going to do next year. I think working out how does it work between Braden Trindle and Nico Hines in their halves in season 2025. I would be open to, Braden, you wear the number 7. You run the show. And Nico's our, cream on top sort of guy.
Yeah.
We don't have, and forget about what they're getting paid because it's a big disparity there. And Nico's taking up a whole heap of
Braden
cap.
just had an upgraded deal too.
Yeah.
Not on Nico money, but he's got a significantly upgraded deal as well.
Nico's franchise player, right? He's face of the franchise.
Yeah.
But I think Braden Trindle is a more important player to the team now.
Well, we saw that at the back end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So they're the question marks around, and the link that they need to unlock a little bit is Blake Brayley, because we see how much freer for some reason he plays when Nico wasn't there. he runs a bit more, right? And he's such an attacking threat. And
2 runs or more, Cronulla win.
And I think Adam Fanua-Blake is going to unlock Blake Braille. I think Blake's going to have a massive year next year.
Okay.
Off the back of Adam Fanua-Blake. Because that Cronulla forward pack, and I've said this for a while now, they're too same for me. Tom Hazleton added something different because of his stature, right?
Yep.
And how big he was. But there was no point of difference in that forward pack. They're good players. Nicker and Wilton, good players on either edge. McInnes, a work rate.
Nicker is as good in the league at whole running as you will see.
Correct, right? And then you had, because obviously they had Dale Finucane's retirement, but you had McInnes and Finucane in the middle of the field. And
Yep.
Jack Williams, there was all these players that were the same.
Yep.
For me at Cronulla, they've got a guy now that's a point of difference, and that's Fanua-Blake.
Yeah.
And I think he'll unlock Brayley, and I think they'll free everyone else up. So I've got high hopes for him next year.
They strike me as a team that were playing near enough to their best on a regular basis. And if you want to say what a reflection that is, that was their coach in his career.
Yeah.
Right? So they're superbly physically presented.
Yep.
The mental side of things, I think, is all revolves around Nico.
Yeah.
And how he approaches his seasons. And then the point you make about Fanua-Blake and then Blake Brayley, I've got the notes written down here, and Fanua-Blake and Blake Brayley and the impact it's going to have. I think they played near enough to their best consistently. It's just finding that little bit extra that makes them a contender.
And the question is, are the players at their ceiling? That's the question.
Yes.
You look at the Cronulla Sharks, because they've had a settled roster for the last couple of years. They've brought in now Fanua-Blake, but they've backed largely the players that have been there for the last couple of years. That, I think they've got the best win combination in the game. Katoa and Ronaldo. The two of them, I like their carriers, I like their finishes, and I think the best combo in terms of what they can offer. My question mark is around, like Jesse Ramian midpoint was in Origin calculation. Sifa Talakai fell off this year. You know?
Yep.
He's that dynamic player that can change a game for him at his best.
I reckon that, I called that semi-final that they won when they beat the Cowboys. They were busted. They were busted going into that game against Penrith.
Yeah.
And Jesse Ramian was one of the key. He'd been
'Cause
playing well.
So
He'd been excellent for them. I totally agree with you around Will Kennedy. Sometimes I'm convinced that he is David Peachey reincarnate. Other times I'm not so sure. So the Cade Dykes watch.
We should know by now.
Yeah, I know. He's had enough opportunities.
That's my point, right? Have we seen the best of Will Kennedy? If we've seen the best of Will Kennedy, then they might need to make a change there, right? If they don't think there's growth in Will Kennedy, he's 27, turns 28 next year.
28.
He's played 107 first grade games now, right? So that's the watch. I know there's a lot of pressure and expectation on Nico, no doubt, right? But you've got Daniel Atkinson there for another 12 months.
Could you see a world where Nico goes back to fullback?
I don't now, because I think if they thought that was the play, they would have kept Atkinson and would have got rid of Kennedy now.
Is he doing reps at fullback just in case?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Like that'd be interesting to know.
But I think if they thought they were going to make that decision, they've got a really good young fullback coming through.
Not Dykes.
Not Dykes.
No?
No. Another young fullback. Cade Dykes is an interesting one. He's a guy that's obviously had first grade experience, but then has missed a large chunk of the last couple of seasons because of injuries. But that's the question mark there for the Cronulla Sharks. So Liam Eisen is the fullback, who's a young guy that they've got contracted until the end of 2027.
Yep.
Who will be their long-term fullback. So I think that's probably why they've resisted that call for change, because there was cause for change. If you thought Daniel Atkinson was going to be
5'8".
Yeah,
Atkinson.
Atkinson. Sorry, was going to be your halves option, and then you move Nico and you keep him there and you shot Will Kennedy.
Yep.
But they didn't do that.
I don't know whether Nico's got the motor now to play.
I don't think so either.
That's putting a lot of stress on his body. So the other one that emerged this year too is Kyle Liro.
Yeah.
Had a really good season and was a contender for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
So, your grading of the Sharks?
They're a B for mine, but B. If we're doing B pluses, I'd give them a B plus.
Just written down B plus.
Yeah.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of things with that, and one of them is that you and I are now starting to think similarly. So this is groupthink. And this is disconcerting on a number of levels.
This is because I had no audio on the way in. I just sat there and on my
Did you?
thoughts. No chance.
Right, okay. Well, what did you listen to on the way in?
SEN, highlights of our show.
Ison from Penrith, Dylan Edwards clone.
Yes,
so there you
Ison is the one.
go. Will Kennedy is David Peachy reincarnated. 0 competition wins,
Andy,
says Andy.
be nice.
David Peachy at one stage, and this was around the 99, 2000, 2001,
Yeah.
he was as good attacking player in the league
Yeah.
as there was.
But he only played one Origin because of injury, David Peachy.
So who was the origin?
Robbie Ross.
Timmy Brasher?
Tim Brasher was in and out there.
Yeah.
He played one Origin, they won, and he got injured. Scored a try.
Okay. Yeah, and then
Game one, yeah.
his whole thing of putting the ball down centimetres before the dead ball.
That was
Can you imagine
madness.
Johnny Lang with that? Like, surely.
Yeah, Brasher played for the rest of that season.
Yeah, Brasher was the one. So there you go. Yeah, so do they improve? Do they finish better than fourth? I don't think so.
I don't think they finished better than fourth, but I think they're a better team. So they might finish third. So like they'll finish third or fourth.
So will they be closer to Penrith?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I'm adamant Fanua Blake will be the buy of the year, and he will unlock Blake Rayleigh to be the attacking threat that we've seen glimpses of.
If he is superb. He's a little bit out of mind, out of sight, a little bit with the Warriors.
Yes.
But he's an outstanding forward. Like just some of the numbers he churns out.
His footwork, his creativity, his fast play the ball, all these things that the Sharks have not had. He was if you look at that Sharks side, he was the missing ingredient for him. A marquee middle player that can dominate that middle third of the field.
So well done to the Sharks in identifying that and getting the man they wanted.
Yeah.
Right. So that all worked out very nicely for them. I remember calling a Warriors v Dragons game, I think, and then the Dragons ended up getting the big win. Adam Fanua-Blake nearly did it all on his own for the Warriors in that game.
He's such a good player.
So there you go. Thanks for watching. For more great content, subscribe to SEN League, your home of the greatest game of all.